Welcome to Chapter 11 Work. In this chapter, we'll look at how gender shapes the workplace, from pay gaps and job segregation to the ways parenthood, discrimination, and culture all affect our opportunities and expectations. Work is one of the main places where social structures meet personal experience. What we do for a living, how we're paid, and how we're treated are all connected to larger systems of inequality. One of the most well known examples is the gender pay gap, the difference between what the typical man and woman earn when both work full time. It's not just about unequal pay for the same job, it's about who gets which jobs, who advances, and whose work is valued. That leads us to job segregation, the tendency for certain jobs to be filled mostly by men or mostly by women. This separation shapes income, prestige, and even identity. We call this gendered job segregation, and it's one of the biggest contributors to the wage gap. So, why does segregation happen? There are a few main theories. The socialization hypothesis suggests that men and women internalize gender stereotypes early on, and those stereotypes influence what careers they think are right for them. The employer selection hypothesis points to bias in hiring. Employers often assume men are better suited for masculine jobs and women for feminine ones. And the selective exit hypothesis reminds us that people sometimes leave careers where they're treated as outsiders, especially in counter stereotypical roles. Altogether, this creates what we might call different and unequal. Women's work and men's work are valued differently, and that difference is reflected in wages. This is what sociologists describe as an androcentric pay scale. The more male dominated a job is, the higher it tends to pay. We also see the masculinization of wealth, where men's concentration in higher paying fields allows them to build more savings, investments, and assets over time. That's how inequality accumulates, not just weekly in paychecks, but across entire lifetimes. When we talk about gendered work, we also have to consider emotional labor, the effort of managing our own emotions and the emotions of others. This is especially common in service and caregiving professions. Care work, such as teaching, nursing, or caring for children and older adults, is essential but often undervalued because it's associated with femininity. The pandemic made this especially clear. During COVID-19, job losses hit care and service industries hardest, reminding us just how vulnerable gendered work can be in times of crisis. Discrimination also plays a role in shaping who advances and who gets left behind. Sometimes it's overt, through hostile or benevolent sexism. Other times it's subtle, showing up as symbolic threat, where someone's presence challenges the identity or dominance of a group in power. We also see invisible obstructions in the form of metaphors. The glass ceiling describes the invisible barrier keeping women from reaching top positions in masculine fields. The glass closet captures how LGBTQ plus employees hide their identities to avoid stigma. The glass cliff happens when women who break through are placed in risky leadership positions where failure is more likely. The sticky floor keeps workers stuck in low level jobs with little chance for advancement. And in contrast, the glass escalator refers to how men in women dominated fields often rise quickly to positions of authority. Parenthood introduces another layer of inequality. Workplaces still operate around the ideal worker norm, the idea that employees should be fully devoted to their jobs, free from family distractions. In a culture that glorifies overwork, this norm penalizes caregivers, especially mothers. We often hear about the mommy track, which assumes mothers will be less committed to their jobs, and so they receive fewer raises and promotions. This contributes to the motherhood penalty, the measurable decrease in wages that occurs when people become mothers. Meanwhile, some men experience the fatherhood premium, an increase in wages after having children, because employers often see fatherhood as a sign of reliability and stability. The contrast between these two outcomes reveals just how gendered our expectations around work and family still are. Today's workplace is changing rapidly, but those old patterns continue to echo. Technology, remote work, and new economic models are reshaping what it means to have a career, yet the same underlying issues, pay inequality, gender bias, and work family imbalance, persist. Understanding these dynamics helps us see that the economy isn't neutral. It's social, built by people, reflecting our values, and therefore always capable of being changed. As you move through this chapter, think about your own experiences with work. Who gets rewarded? Who gets overlooked? And what would it take to build workplaces that truly value everyone's labor, care, and contribution equally?